Praise the Lord! Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ako po ang inyong makakasama sa Moments with God, Presbyter Raquel Dela Cruz. Kumusta na po kayo? Dalangin ko po ang namamalaging pag-iingat ng Diyos at ang aking pong kagalakan ay ipaglingkod ang kanyang mga salita sa bawat isa sa inyo. At kung paanong tinatalakay po sa linggong ito ang about bravery, pinamagatan ko po ang aking topic, We Are Not Alone. Bravery is defined as mental or moral strength to face danger, fear, and difficulty. Ayon po sa dictionary, ang katapangan ay ang moral na kalakasan at mental na kalakasan upang harapin ang panganib, ang takot, at ang anumang uri ng kahirapan. Sa definition po ito, may napakaganda pong quote si Nelson Mandela patungkol sa bravery. Si Nelson Mandela po ay isang anti-apartheid revolutionary, a political leader, a philanthropist which served as president in South Africa from 1994 to 1999. Sabi po ni Nelson Mandela, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not one who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers the fear. Sabi ni Nelson Mandela, ang katapangan, naunawaan niya na ang katapangan ay hindi ang kawalan ng takot, kundi ang mapagwagian nito. At ang taong matapang ay hindi yaong hindi nakakaramdam ng takot, kundi yaong tao na pinagtatagumpayan ang takot. And saying the definition from the dictionary and knowing the meaning from the Bible, it has a common ground. As far as the Bible is concerned, bravery is acting in the face of fear. Ano po yung common ground? They act, they face fear. It is being afraid to do something and doing it anyway. Our present situations provide us so many opportunities to fear. Ang mga sitwasyon po na ating kinakaharap ngayon ay waring nagbibigay sa atin ng takot. This pandemic crisis has killed more or less 3.32 million people globally. This emerging black fungus in India. 2 days ago, the central Luzon was hit by an earthquake with a magnitude of 5.8. And almost many of the Southeast Asian countries is in its lockdown because of the second wave of COVID-19. These are not fake news. These are real news. And somehow it threatens our families and our lives. It is not wrong to be afraid. But what is wrong is to let our fears make our decision. Likas sa atin bilang tao ang matakot. At hindi isang kamalian ang matakot. Ano ang kamalian? Na tayo'y magpasya bunga ng ating takot. And this is where bravery comes in. We are brave when we remind ourselves of God's promises and press on in the direction where He leads us. In Hebrew 12, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Kailan nga po ba pa darating sa atin ang katapangan kapag ating alalahanin ang lahat ng pangako ng Diyos at ating dalhin ang ating sarili sa kung saan tayong direksyon ginagabayan ng Diyos. Ang sabi ng salita ng Panginoon, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Where is God directing us? Where is God leading us? Yes, we can see what is happening in the world. But this will give us fears. This will give us worries. But when we look unto Jesus, the author of and finisher of our faith, these fears will come out as courage for us to face what is before us. Purihin ang ating Panginoon at sa mga sandali pong ito, nais ko pong ibahagi sa inyo. What are some of God's promises that is ours to claim that will give us courage? Ano nga po ba ang ilan sa mga pangako ng Panginoon na dapat nating angkinin? Na dito ay magkakaroon tayo ng katapangan upang harapin ang lahat ng mga bagay sa kasalukuyang ito at sa panahong ito. Ang una pong katotohanan ay ito. Sabi po ng banal na kasulatan, we are not alone. God is with us. Nais ko po na basahin natin ang nasa Joshua chapter 1 verses 6 up to 9. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead this people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Be strong and be courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Sa mga talata pong ito, makikita natin that 3 times in this passage, the word of God and God instructed, God commanded Joshua, be strong and be courageous. Ano ang pangako ng Panginoon sa likod nito? Sabi ng salita ng Panginoon, sapagkat akong Panginoon mong Diyos ay suma sa iyo, saan ka man pumaroon. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. He had chosen Joshua as Moses' successor, and the task was so difficult. It would be Joshua, not Moses, who would lead Israelites to the promised land and drive out the pagan inhabitants. God knew the challenges that Joshua will face, and God knew the powerful appearance of their enemy. But what gave Joshua the courage? Bakit nga po ba sa gitna ng katotohanan na nahaharap si Josue sa kanyang mga malalakas at makapangyarihang kaaway, dumating sa kanya ang katapangan? He received the promise of God. And again, going back to the latter part and verse of Joshua chapter 1 verse 9, the word of God says, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Sapagkat ang Panginoon mong Diyos ay sumasayo, saan ka man pumaroon. Yes, he was not alone. God will always be in his side, and God will always be on our side. God did not promise Joshua that when the road is smooth, the journey is smooth, and there is no risk, and the place is a risk-free, a danger-free. journey, he will be with Joshua? No. God said, I will be with you wherever you go. In those perilous times, God was with Joshua. In those dangerous times, God was with Joshua. Because the promise of God is His way to let Himself prove to him that He is with Joshua, that God is with Joshua. Alam ko po na sa ating panahon ngayon, napakaraming pangamba at takot na dumarating sa atin bilang tao. Pero tandaan po natin, ang pangako ng Diyos ay hindi lamang sa panahon ni Josue. Ang pangako ng Diyos na siya'y sa atin ay hanggang sa ating panahon. And if we will just believe in God, if we will just step our faith to trust in God, the very promise that I will be wherever you go is the same promise for us to claim. We are not alone. God is with us. Purihin ang Panginoon. The second truth is this: we are not alone. God is fighting for us. David, as a young shepherd boy, is an example of bravery based on his experience with the Lord. He volunteered to face the giant Goliath because he had seen the Lord delivered him before. But when he came to King Saul and volunteered himself to fight with Goliath, King Saul doubted. So David answered him, and he said in 1 Samuel 17 verse 37, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of the Philistine." Sa Tagalog, ang Panginoon na nagligtas sa akin sa mga pangamot ng leon at sa mga pangamot ng oso ay siyang magliligtas sa akin sa kamay ng Filisteyong ito. Nang dumating ang pagkakataon na lumapit si David kay Haring Saul upang labanan si Goliath, sabi ni Haring Saul, "Ikaw ay isang bata." Samantalang si Goliath ay hinubog sa pandirigma mula sa kanyang pagkabata. At siya'y nag-alinlangan knowing that he was just a young lad. Pero anong sabi ni David? Sabi ni David, ang Panginoon ang nagligtas sa akin sa pangamot ng leon, sa pangamot ng oso, at siya rin ang magliligtas sa akin sa Filisteyong ito. At nang marinig ito ni King Saul, sabi niya, "Sige, yumaon ka." And David stood up bravely, knowing that God will be fighting for him. And victory is on his side. Nais ko pong basahin ang 1 Samuel 17 verses 45 to 47. At nais ko pong makita natin kung paano tinayuan ni David ang labanang ito na kung tutuusin, kung ating titignan sa literal nating mga mata, it was a mismatch. Paano nga ba lalaban ang isang bata sa isang lalaking hubog sa pakikipagdigma at sanay sa lahat ng uri ng armas sa pakikipagdigma? At narito si David na ang tangan ay isang tirador at ang hawak ay 3 makikinis na bato. It was a mismatch. Pero tingnan po natin, anong sabi ni David? Sabi po ng salita ng Panginoon, "You came against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defiled. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and He will give all of you into our hands. Nais ko po itong basahin sa Tagalog. Sabi po ng salita ng Panginoon, ikaw ay naparirito sa akin na may tabak at may malaking sibat at may kalasag. Ngunit ako'y naparirito laban sa iyo sa pangalan ng Panginoon ng mga hukbo, ng Diyos ng mga kawal ng Israel na iyong hinahamon. Sa araw na ito ay ibibigay ka ng Panginoon sa aking kamay at sasaktan kita at pupugutin ko ang ulo mo at ibibigay ko ang mga bangkay sa hukbo ng mga Filisteyong sa mga ibon sa himpapawid sa araw na ito at sa mga bangis na hayop sa lupa upang maalaman ng buong lupa na may Diyos sa Israel at upang maalaman ng buong kapisanang ito na hindi nagliligtas ang Panginoon sa pamamagitan ng tabak o ng sibat, sapagkat ang pagbabakang ito'y sa Panginoon at ibibigay niya kayo sa aming kamay. Sa mga talata pong ating binasa, David's bravery was not motivated by his arrogance. David's bravery was not motivated by self-promotion. Kung tutuusin, alam ni David na sa sino mang papatay kay Goliath, ang anak ng Haring Saul ay magiging asawa nito. But he was not motivated by this. He was not motivated by bragging of who he was, by who David is. He was motivated by his conviction, his full conviction that God's honor is at stake. Alam ni David na ang panglalait ni Goliath sa bayang Israel ay panglalait ni Goliath sa Diyos. And David knew that Goliath is having his blasphemy against the God of Israel, against the nation of God. And by this, he was motivated to fight. He knew that God's honor was at stake. And when David fought, he stood in the promise of God. Ano po yung napakagandang pangako ng Panginoon? Na sa gitna ng kanyang pagiging bata, at makita niya na ang kanyang kalaban ay napakalaki. Because Philistine is the land of the giants. Si Goliath po ay hindi karaniwan ng laki. Sinasabi that he was about 7 to 8 footer man. Pero si David ay isang binatilyo, isang bata na may mapulang pisngi. But while facing that Goliath, while facing that blasphemous giant, David stood in the promise of God. Ano po ang pangako ng Panginoon? In the latter part of verse 47, it says, "For the battle is the Lord's, and He will give all of you into our hands." Yes, we are not alone. God will always be our defender. To God be the glory. What is the third promise of God that we are to claim? And by this, we can face all situations before us with courage. The third is, we are not alone. God is strengthening us. In Colossians 1 verse 11, being strengthened with all power according to His glorious might, so that you may have a great endurance and patience. Sabi ng salita ng Panginoon na tayo'y palakasin ng buo niyang kapangyarihan ayon sa kaluwalhatian ng kalakasang nasa Kanya. We are not to be strengthened by our own strength. We are finite people. Everything has its limitation. All has its end. But we are to be strengthened by an infinite strength from God. Purihin ang ating Panginoon. If it is God's will for you to do something, then do it. If God allowed you to be in tough situation, trust in Him. Because He knows what He is doing. God is bigger than your situation. And His promise is He will never leave you, neither forsake you. Pray for help. And stop relying on your own strength. Rely on the strength of God. Tandaan po natin, when we rely on our own, we will fail. But when we rely on the strength of God, we will succeed. Because God's strength is more than enough in every situation we are facing, in everything that we are going through. So stop relying on your own strength. Rely on God's strength. And God is working behind to accomplish His good plans. Naalala ko po ang sabi ng mahal na Bishop Jonathan, the moment we give our complete trust to God, that is the very time that God is orchestrating every situation and every event for our own good. Sa panahon po na ating ilagak sa Panginoon ang buo nating pagtitiwala, ang mga pangyayari ay Kanyang pinag-aayon-ayon sa ating ikabubuti. Remember Romans 8 verse 28? The Word of God says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Sa Tagalog, sabi ng banal na kasulatan, at nalalaman natin na ang lahat ng mga bagay ay nagkakalakip na gumagawa sa ikabubuti ng mga nagsisiibig sa Diyos, sa makatwid bagay niyaong mga tinawag, alinsunod sa Kanyang nasa. Sabi ng salita ng Panginoon, everything works together for good to them that love the Lord. Ang lahat ng bagay ay nagkakalakip-lakip na gumagawa doon sa mga umiibig sa Kanya. Yes, even what we think are seemingly evil, what we think are seemingly painful, what we think are seemingly hard, those things are working together, are meant for our good. But what will make us courageous? What will make us brave in facing all these things? Mahirap pong harapin ang isang karamdaman. Lalo na kung alam mong parang it's the end of the road. Mahirap pong harapin ang isang kagipitan kung alam mo that you are unemployed. Mahirap pong harapin ang isang pagsubok kung sa tingin mo parang ikaw ay nag-iisa. Pero how can we face all these things? Sabi po ng salita ng Panginoon, we are being strengthened by the glorious of God's might. And this speaks about the power that rests not in men or from men, but rests from God who is omnipotent. Alam niyo po, um, merong isang anecdote na merong dalawang magkaibigan na they were on the 20th floor of a high-rise building. And when they sneak at the window, sabi nung isa, "Wow, it's a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day." At nang tumingin yung kaibigan niya, nagtaka siya. Sabi niya, "I could not see anything of beauty. A heavy traffic down there. Busy people, busy street. What is beautiful? What is wonderful? Ano bang maganda?" Pero sabi po nung kaibigan niya, "Don't look down. Tilt your eyes up. And you will see the awesome beauty of God's creation. And you will feel the serenity of God's promise in you and in your life." Habang itinititig po natin ang ating mga mata sa pangyayari sa ating paligid, wala tayong makikitang maganda. Pero sa panahon po na ating itingin ang mata ng ating pananampalataya sa Diyos na gumawa ng lahat ng bagay, mararanasan natin ang kapayapaan na di kayang ibigay ng mga pangyayaring ating kinakaharap. This is your moments with God. Nais niyo po bang maranasan ang mayamang pakikisama ng Diyos, ang pagtatanggol ng Panginoon, at ang pagpapalakas ng Panginoon? It all starts with our relationship with God. Sa panahon po na ating tanggapin ang Panginoong Hesukristo bilang ating personal na Panginoon at tagapagligtas, doon dumarating ang ating di karaniwang kaugnayan sa Diyos. Siya bilang ating Ama at tayo bilang Kanyang mga anak. Sabi po dito sa John 1 verse 12, nais ko pong basahin sa Tagalog. Sabi po ng salita ng Panginoon, "Datapwat ang lahat ng sa Kanya'y nagsitanggap, ay pinagkalooban niya sila ng karapatang maging mga anak ng Diyos. Sa makatwid bagay ang mga nagsisampalataya sa Kanyang pangalan." Ano pong sabi ng salita ng Panginoon? Sa panahon na ating tanggapin ang ating Panginoon sa ating buhay at sampalatayanan siya, we are given the right to become children of God. Sa aming pong mga kaibigan, sa mga sandaling ito, ang Panginoon at ang Diyos na may lalang ng langit at lupa ay nakatunghay sa iyo. At ang lahat ng pangako na magbibigay sa atin ng katapangan to face fear amidst all the situations ay ating pong mararanasan. Pagpalain po kayo ng Panginoon, to God be the glory. Sa ating pong Bible verse, ito po ay ating masusumpungan sa Matthew 28 verse 20. "And teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." Sa Tagalog po, na ituro ninyo sa kanila na kanilang ganapin ang lahat ng mga bagay na iniuutos ko sa inyo. At narito, ako'y suma sa inyong palagi hanggang sa katapusan ng sanglibutan. Sa mga talata pong ito, dito natin makikita ang di nagbabagong pakikitungo, pakikisama, at pakikipag-ugnay ng Diyos sa mga taong nagtitiwala sa Kanya. Sabi ng banal na kasulatan, "I will be with you always, even to the end of the age." Sa Tagalog, ako'y suma sa inyong palagi hanggang sa katapusan ng sanglibutan. Hindi po ba totoo lang kapag mayroon tayong kinakaharap ng problema at mayroong magsasabi sa ating, laksan mo ang loob mo, narito lang ako. Hindi ba't tumatapang po tayo? Hindi ba't sa panahon ng ating karamdaman, kapag iginugupo ang ating damdamin at parang nasa kawalang pag-asa tayo, at mayroong yumakap sa atin ng mahigpit at sabihin sa ating, hindi ka nag-iisa, mahal kita. Hindi ba't dumarating ang ating katapangan? Hindi ba't sa panahon ng mga kagipitan at may magsabi sa atin at humawak sa ating kamay at magsabi sa atin, huwag kang mag-alala, narito ako at tutulong sa iyo. Hindi ba't dumarating sa atin ang ating katapangan? Sa mga pagkakataong ito at sa mga talatang ito, hindi tao ang nangangako. Diyos ang nangangako. Sabi ng salita ng Panginoon, I will be with you always, even to the end of the age. Ako'y sa iyong palagi hanggang sa katapusan ng sanglibutan. Gaya po ng ating topic sa episode na ito, we are not alone. To God be the glory.
Thank you for watching Moments with God. If you enjoyed the video, click like and subscribe for more uploads.